E oku rangatirama, tēnā koutou katoa, tēnā koutou e hui mai nei roto I tēnei whare, tēnā hoki koutou e pānei o tātou kaupapa mō tēnei rā, te kaupapa o te ko tui tui, te kaupapa o te intergenerational trauma, nō reira tēnei te mihi atu ki a tātou katoa. Louise, tēnā koe, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for making it a safe space, because I must admit, coming here, I felt a deep sense of tapu tapu, that this subject is so tapu tapu, it's so sacred. I am not an expert, please, I am not an expert, but what I bring here today is my experience in this kaupapa kōrero. I want to acknowledge Foundation North. I see Jennifer Gill there, tēnā koe Jennifer. I want to acknowledge Centre for Social Impact, Alison, all the great team, Kate, my distinguished panel members. I feel like a pipi whāro roa, a fledgling amongst the midst of this panel. So ko waiau, no he au, ki te taho tōku pāpā, no tūhoia hau, ki te taho tōku koka, mō Ngāti Parau, ki aitanga hautia hau, ko tōku nei ingoa, ko tāhui pare Tui Ah Loo hau, and I have the privilege of taking you on a little journey. So I'm really thankful to Louise, who posed some questions for me to follow. Otherwise, I would go to rangi tūhaha and back. So I'm happy to say that I'm going to stay grounded in Papatuanuku. And so what I want to lead off with is my work. So what do? I have the privileged role of leading PARS. PARS is a not-for-loss. We're an NGO with an illustrious whakapapa, with a legacy spanning over 117 years, supporting and responding to prisoners, released prisoners, deportees, whānau mauhere from prison. We are widely known for addressing the silent sentence. So on release, prisoners have done the crime, done their time, they go to prison, but they come out with what we call the silent sentence. They carry the silent sentence of stigma, of judgment, of exclusion. They carry the sentence of the NIMBY, you're not going to live in my backyard, and note, and not over there either. So we are widely known for disrupting that stigma that follows our people when they leave prison. We basically provide tools of empowerment to enable our people to transact in society on release, things you and I take for granted. We work with our clients in the full humanity of them as a human being. We do not see the offending. We don't see that. What we see is a human being, and we work with them in the essence of humanity. So everyone coming through our door gets the same hareru, the same handshake, the same hungi, regardless of the offending type. We work with child sex offenders, murderers, rapists, you name it. We work with them, but we work with them in the full humanity of them as people. We are diversifying our proposition as an organisation, so moving more to the front of the justice pipeline, working more with our youth. Our most vulnerable is our youth. I just read a statistic this morning that said that youth who commit their first dishonesty offence are likely to go on and commit another 8 more offences. That is their trajectory. So we are getting at the front of that pipeline to smash that pipeline of disadvantage. I'm also the proud co-founder of an organisation called Te Ira, which was founded by Foundation North and the Centre for Social Impact, and I am unapologetically focused on the pipeline of disadvantage and smashing that pipeline for our babies, for our children of whānau mauhere. So that's just a little bit about my day job. My night job is I am passionate about education. I am heavily involved in Unitec. I have chaired their Māori Runanga for over a number of years and recently was a ministerial appointment to the Crown Manager at Unitec. So that's another one of my night jobs. I'm involved with the police and across a range of sectors. Why? Because our people traverse all of those sectors, yet our sectors are working in isolation to each other. So, how does intergenerational trauma play out in my area of work? Intergenerational trauma is one of the biggest drivers for high Māori imprisonment rates, undoubtedly. It contributes to third generation incarcerated whānau. Our grief is not seen as legitimate, and therefore our whānau, our clients, are left with anger, state care, abuse, dispossession of land, colonisation, you name it. I could go on and on. There's a saying that people who are harmed harm. What we are doing is punishing the harm, we're not treating the harmed. So when we are in the process of healing, we heal. Our stories are largely invisible. Kate has shared some amazing stories this morning, but they are largely invisible at the national level. We are seen largely through the lens, through the gaze of negative statistics, without revealing the context of those statistics and the experience embodying them. However, right now we have Te Matatini, the most amazing festival in Aotearoa, New Zealand, which is being broadcasted across the world, and I hear UK has the highest uptake. We have our people expressing their grief, but also expressing their healing on that stage right now. So I want to acknowledge all of our people performing at Te Matatini, and I wish I was on the stage with them. However, so what attracts me to this area of collective and intergenerational trauma, and I couldn't have said it more beautifully than what Tatiana said. My ancestral roots attract me to this work. My ancestral roots, my genetics, my DNA, my maternal, my grandmaternal. So that attracts me to this work from where I have sprung. My ancestral roots move me to lead people, to disrupt the status quo and the mechanisms of enslavery of our wairua, our spirituality. My ancestral roots are motivated by an innate sense of tika, pono and aroha ki te tangata. My ancestral roots move me to disrupt the stigma, the silent sentence, the NIMBY, the note. My ancestral roots move me to work towards transforming the systemic failure of our criminal justice system, to stem the pipeline of disadvantage, to stop intergenerational incarceration and mass incarceration of my people. That's what moves me, that DNA, those genetics. So what is changing? What is happening right now across the sector? This is happening. Ko tui tui. This is an amazing opportunity. I was having lunch with Alison from CSI, and I just think the Centre for Social Impact and Foundation North have a real opportunity to start a bold and courageous discussion, not only on this subject, but a lot of other subjects. So, tēnei te mihi atu kia CSI and Foundation North. So, currently we've got a reform of the criminal justice system led by Minister Little. That's great, that's happening, but so is a lot of other reforms happening, all in silo of each other. What needs to happen is they need to come together, because our people, my people, traverse all of those sectors. So they need to come together. There's an appetite for change, as evidenced by this conversation. There's quite a lot of therapeutic interventions happening right now in our AOD, our Family Violence course, and there's conversations and programs of action addressing unconscious and conscious bias in government departments. So yeah, there is some really good things happening right now, but I must admit, I found it really hard to pinpoint them. I don't know why, but I need to ask myself that question. So, what needs to change? There has to be greater access to resources that combat the negative effects of structural racism, intergenerational trauma and colonisation. We need to resource vulnerabilities, not risk. We need to resource protective factors, whakapapa, whānau, hapu, iwi. Don't keep resourcing the system. We need more restorative practices, and I'm glad to hear one of our guest speakers is talking on restorative practices. We need to stop the intergenerational flow. We actually need to educate the NIMBYs and the notes of Aotearoa. We need an education strategy, and perhaps that's something CSI and Foundation North under Ko Tui could pick up. Sorry. And so some of the things I think that are effective at addressing collective and intergenerational trauma is we actually need to focus on the structural determinants, so the policies, the practices, the legislation, rather than focusing on the individual deficits. We need to change the lens from a punitive to a therapeutic lens. We need to heal intergenerational mamai, to stem intergenerational offending. We need to heal the mamai, the pain. We need to address the intergenerational trauma of untreated abuse. We need to address the mauri of the offence. Don't punish the offender. Address the mauri, the life force of that offence, because it's come from a generation before them and a generation before them. We need to establish more healing and habilitation centres to unlock Māori potential, more restorative justice and Māori models of conflict resolution, ho hau I te rongo. So we need to heal people. And before I came to this event a couple of days ago, I sent an email to Professor Tracy McIntosh. She's one of my gurus, one of my leaders I look up to. And I spoke about this, and she shared some words with me. And those words evoked this deep tangi in me. I wasn't crying, I was tangiing, because she brought up all of that mamai, that pain that I sometimes carry in this work. But we actually need to move into healing and restoration and change our lens from a punitive to a therapeutic lens. And is my time up? Well, it will be. I'm going to say it's up. So, I just wanted to share a brief insight. I tried to keep myself constrained to my 10 minutes, because otherwise I would have gone up to Rangituha and back. But Louise, thank you for the privilege of just sharing some insights. And in closing, I just want to share that I have a niece who is performing at 2:30 on the stage at Te Matatini, and she is representing one of my tribal groups, Tuhoi. She's representing Te Karu, and I would just like to close and Tuhoi po tiki ko te ahi kai ata ko te pau whakahiwa e mutu nei te aroha ia hau e. Kia ora tātou.